This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, and welcome to Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, the Dream Coach. This is a show where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to make the internal shift to a life you love. It's hard for me to believe, but I've been doing this show for close to 2 years now. I featured a lot of dream workers, and today I'm bringing back one of them, who was a guest on actually the second show I ever did. Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos has said she wouldn't be alive today if it weren't for her dreams. Those dreams told her she had cancer that the doctors couldn't find, and she wrote about it in her first best-selling book, Surviving Cancerland. She's gone on to become an international bestseller and multi-award-winning author, producer and host of the Wicked Housewives on Cape Cod radio and television programs, and an international speaker and intuitive dream coach. Welcome back to Dream Power Radio, Kat.
Thank you so much for having me on your show again, Debbie. It's always such a pleasure.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Well, Kat, as you heard me say at the beginning, you've been a very busy person. Has COVID-19 slowed you down any?
Not really. It contained me a little bit so that I had to do everything I normally do in a smaller environment, my home. But, like you, I've stayed very, very busy, and I've just worked from home. I have a very close-knit group of friends who, are also pretty much at home. And I even connect with my friends once a week on Wednesday nights at 5:00 for a Zoom cocktail party. And we all sit around and we drink our little cocktails. I like just tonic water with lime. That's all I drink. That's as much as I do. But it's fun. So you can still connect.
Yeah, well, you said you've just given me like one good thing about this pandemic that's been going on. But another positive thing that's arose out of the pandemic has been the rise in the interest of dreams. I mean, I've seen it. Have you seen it?
Oh, absolutely. I get emails from people all the time. And what has really made me happy, very happy, is a lot of the millennials and children of the millennials are sending me emails saying, I had this really bizarre dream. It's still disturbing me. It's like I had it last night and it's been 2 weeks. It won't go away. Can you help me understand what it means? And so, of course, like I know, Debbie, we can't really interpret other people's dreams, only they can, but we can get some pretty good ideas of what the messages are when they're kind of like in your face messages. And so what I often do is I help lead them to understand what their dreams are saying so that they're not confusing to them or frightening to them. Many COVID dreams right now are extremely frightening when in fact the messages, I believe, are very positive.
Well, isn't that true with most dreams? I mean, we always say about nightmares, nightmares have that hidden message that really is the message you need to hear so you can transform and change and be in a better place if we pay attention to it. Of course, it's always a big if we pay attention to it. Otherwise, nightmares just scare us. So, yeah, I mean, of course, there's a lot of good that could come out of really understanding our dreams.
Mm-hmm.
But why do you think we're remembering our dreams more now?
Well, that's a good question, Debbie. A lot of people will say to me, I don't understand why all of a sudden I'm remembering my dreams, details in my dreams when I never did before. And my answer to that, and again, it only reflects back to me, I find that when everything's going hunky-dory, I don't always remember my dreams because my inner selves may not have messages for me. They want me to just go to sleep, relax, have a movie or two during the night, and then wake up refreshed in the morning. However, when I have dreams where there's information and I can't forget it, and maybe it's even in a recurrent dream, it keeps popping up in my dreams, maybe with different people, but the same message, a different place with the same people, then I realize that my inner selves, my spirit guides, my guardian angels are trying to tell me something through the sacred dream doors. And until I understand that message, I'm going to keep getting it. So if you're having a recurrent dream or a recurrent nightmare, because like you said, I don't believe there are any bad dreams or bad nightmares. What better way to get you to remember a dream than to give you a scary nightmare where you can't forget any parts of it? And until you actually solve that riddle in that nightmare, you're going to continue to have it. So it's basically a pearl or a diamond in the rough. It's a gift in disguise. So when we don't remember our dreams at all, maybe we're not supposed to, don't worry about it. Because if our deceased loved ones, our spirit guides, our guardian angels have something to tell us, you're not going to be able to forget that dream if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm. It's true. There's some very, very important messages that come out of our dreams. Exactly. Have your dreams changed as a result of COVID-19?
I was questioning whether or not I was getting guided dreams or precognitive dreams anymore because I hadn't had one for a while. But again, I was very tired. We just, sold our house in record time on Cape Cod. We put it on the market. The following weekend, we gave a showing, and by the following weekend, we had a check. And now my husband's up there while I'm down here in Florida, and he's packing up the house as best he can. We've been there for 22 years. And I remember having a dream just before the house went on the market where I went down into the basement of my home, and my dad, my deceased father, was down there sorting through some stuff that he had left me. And he looked up at me. He was going through these boxes, and he looked up at me as I walked into the basement, and I saw him, and I thought, Dad, what are you doing here? And he just smiled. I woke up and I thought, my goodness, we're going to sell the house really fast. Dad's already sorting through his stuff that he left me, and we're going to have to work like a whirlwind. Well, Dad, 5 days later, we had a contract, and 4 days after that, we had a check. So the precognitive dreams are still active in my life. But the important thing is I haven't had any precognitive dreams that have said this virus is not going to go away. However, I did have a dream that showed before they were showing the virus on TV. This was back in February, I think. They were talking about the virus, and I had a dream. And in the dream, there were a lot of doctors in their white coats, and they showed this orange ball with little suction things off of it. It had a little round tube that you could see through like glass that connected to a smaller round ball with things coming off of it. And when I woke up, I said, that's the COVID virus. It has been tampered with. The original was the big, and the small is something that they attached to it. And there are going to be almost like two viruses going around. So I realized that what had come out of China had been tampered with. It was a true virus. It had really come out with through the bats or whatever, but it had been messed with to a degree in the environment, the medical environment it was in. And there were going to actually be almost like two pandemics. So I hunkered down, and that has been shown to be true.
Very interesting. It's fascinating what our dreams tell us. Speaking of which, you said that you've been getting a lot of emails from people, sharing their COVID dreams. Could you care to tell us about any of them?
Sure. One that I found really interesting, and this seemed to be a recurrent dream for this woman who said it was actually the child of a millennial. She probably was about 15 years old. And it was a similar dream that other people had been sending me. And in this dream, they dreamed that they were in their house, but they were in their house with a lot of people that were just annoying them. There were many people in the house with them. They recognized them, but wouldn't be able to name them or give me names. And in every single case in these dreams, Debbie, there were 2 or 3 people that just annoyed the crap out of them, just really annoyed the crap out of them. And so the 15-year-old that sent me the dream said, finally, one day in the dream, in this recurrent dream, I grabbed this one girl by the nape of the neck, and I ran to the front door of my house, and I threw open the doors, and I threw her out into the yard. And every time before I could get the doors closed, she was back in. She says, I don't even remember her running past me. She keeps running back in, and she's there annoying me and annoying me. She says, what does this mean? And I said, well, in many dreams, our house is up here. We live in our home, in our mind. It's our inner selves. And all of those inner selves are right now, they're trapped with us in our minds to a degree because we're all trapped in our house. And, you know, I have had dreams where I have met my inner selves, and some of them are extremely annoying. And so if I had had this dream, I would wonder if the person I'm trying to throw out of my house is one of my inner selves that I'm now locked away with, and I have to make friends with. I have to find common ground with all of my inner selves because we must all live together for the time being in very close quarters. And if you think about it, there are many people, Debbie, that really can't stand to be alone with themselves. And this time is a real challenge to them. And so that can also come out in their dreams. How can you come to terms with all of your inner selves, those little voices going off day and night, in your sleep, in your waking world? Because no matter where you go, no matter how hard you try to throw yourself out of your home, there you are, and you can't get rid of you. You can't. Before you can get those doors shut, you're going to be back in with the rest of you. You can't throw yourself out. So how can you come to terms with this frightened person you want to get rid of that's annoying you, or this talky person that's trying to annoy you, or this aggressive person? How can we finally find common ground with all of ourselves while we're locked away with all of ourselves?
Were you able to find out if this person was able to resolve their recurring dream by understanding this?
I think so. I talked about this dream. I always get their permission to talk about their dreams on my dream show, Dreaming Healing on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. And I talked about the dream on my show, and I never heard back from them. So I'm thinking, yes, usually if it doesn't resolve or if the dream continues, that's when you hear from them. When everything is solved and everything is working, you don't hear from them anymore. It's like letting the little bird go, and the little bird flies back to its nest or whatever and goes on with its life. So yes, I did talk about this dream on my radio show where they had contacted me from. And since I didn't hear back from them, I have a feeling it helped resolve their issue. Now, I noticed that your Siri or Alexa just started talking to you during the show. And a lot of times, Debbie, when I find that when I'm talking about dreams, my phone will turn on and it will speak to me. And sometimes the TV will start talking. It's very bizarre, but it just shows we're all connected by universal oneness, no matter what the intelligence is.
Oh, well, that is so true. I totally agree with you about that. But just one more question about COVID. Do you think that once this pandemic has passed and we go back, I don't know if we're ever going to go back to normal, but we're going back to whatever new being we're going to be in. Do you think we're going to still be remembering our dreams the way we are now?
Oh, I do. I think that our inner selves are going to march on. I think that when we go back to our normal or our new normal, we're going to go back as more enlightened beings because we've had this time. Although it's annoying and a lot of people are having a lot of trouble with it, this is a time where we have been able to become one with ourselves, to integrate with all of our inner selves, and to use our dreams as a GPS to navigate the waters within our mind, the storms within our minds. It's a time where we're able to reach out and connect still by internet, whether it's Zoom or by phone. But most importantly, it's a time where we've been able to connect with ourselves, have silence so that we can talk to ourselves and connect with our dream world and connect with our loved ones on the other side. So if there's any silver lining to this storm cloud of COVID, that's it. I believe that when we come out of this, we're going to come out as more enlightened human beings.
Well, that is a wonderful way to end this little segment, because we do have to take a little break now. We are speaking with dream expert Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, and we'll be right back. What do Thomas Jefferson, Elias Howe, and Paul McCartney have in common? They all understood the value of dreams, and as a result, the ideas, inventions, and creations from their dreams affect us to this day. What great ideas are you leaving on your pillow at night? Sign up for a complimentary consultation at my website, thedreamcoach.net, and discover why your dreams are a terrible thing to waste.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, and we're speaking with dream expert and author Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. Kat, before you were talking about the dream you had where your father appeared in the dream. Could you speak about the whole concept of departed loved ones appearing in our dreams? Because a lot of people think, well, I don't know, am I making that up, or is that real, or what is it? So can you talk about that a bit?
Certainly. I believe visitation dreams are just amazing. They prove that there is life after life and that love never dies. And those are two really important concepts because it can help us work our way through grief. Our loved ones are really only a dream away. In the book that I'm going to be on your show promoting, Crappy to Happy, Dr. Bernie Siegel's in there, and he talks about how his wife still comes to him in his dreams almost every day, and that the synchronicities that he has, like pennies from heaven, are just proof that love never dies. And then James Redfield, who is the author of the Celestine Prophecies, makes mention of that also in the foreword. And so in my case, my parents have often visited me in my dreams. But in that book, I talk about how when my best friend died unexpectedly, nobody knew she had leukemia, a very rare leukemia. And at that time, I was in California, and she was gone really fast. I didn't have time to say goodbye. I didn't have time to go and see her. It was horrific. And I remember at one point, I got angry, which is part of the steps that you go through, the grieving steps with Kubler-Ross. And I got angry and I said, basically, God, I need to talk to her. This is not fair. I need to make sure she's really all right. And so I set my dream intention that night to actually speak with her in my dreams. And I'm thinking, okay, so the worst that's going to happen is I'm not going to see her. Nothing's going to happen. And God's going to basically say no. And that night, she did show up in my dreams. We were in Boston, and we were standing on a very busy street. It was very sunny, and she walked up to me, and she said, "You want to go get a drink?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because we're like the martini queens." And so we went into what I believe might have been a restaurant called Legal Seafood. And when we ordered our martinis, hers came with no alcohol in it, no liquor. It was just the vegetables that she had in a martini. And I looked at her and I said, where's your alcohol? Where's your vodka? And she said, "Oh, I gave up drinking, but I wanted to see you too." So we sat there just like old times, and I drank my regular martini, and she just had her veggies. So when I saw her husband and asked him about that, I told him about the dream, and got a little weepy-eyed, and he goes, she gave up alcohol completely before she passed, hoping that it would help the treatment she was undergoing to overcome the cancer, but it didn't work. So I didn't know that because I didn't get to see her. But yes, dreams from our deceased loved ones, I call them visitation dreams, can be so real that you wonder if they really were a dream or reality.
Well, there's the line of thought that we're dreaming all the time. So it could very well be as real as us talking together right now.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I mean, how often have we heard, I don't know about other people, but sometimes I'll hear my parents call my name, or I'll hear a voice that will call my name. And I realize that when I have moments of doubt, moments of fear, they're just able to somehow pull aside that veil, even during our waking hours, when we're meditating or we're daydreaming, they're able to pull aside that veil and come into our life and remind us we're never alone. They're always with us. And they're no more than a dream away, whether it's a night dream or a daydream, because love never dies.
How true, and how very comforting these dreams are for people who have them, because it just gives them that sense of peace that maybe they were searching. And that's why it came in their dream, because their subconscious knew they needed to get that, to have that sense of peace in their life.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I talked a little bit in the intro about how your dreams literally saved your life. And for those who haven't heard the story, could you briefly explain what happened to you?
Sure. I had just turned 40, and I went in for my yearly checkup, where we have our mammograms, our blood tests, the physical, the pap smear, the whole 9 yards. You go in one day and you get it all done, and then you're good for a year. And all of my information came back in the mail saying, my mammogram was negative for breast cancer. My blood tests were negative for any problems. I was healthy. And that night, I had the darndest dream. I dreamed that I was just in one of my regular dreams, like we have, Deb. And then all of a sudden, my dream froze, just like a page on a computer freezes. And I'm standing there looking at this frozen dream, and there's a pop-up window that happens in the dream, just like a pop-up on your computer. And it's moving while the rest of the dream is still frozen. And that pop-up window turns into a pop-up door. And through that door walks a Franciscan monk. People ask me, why a monk? I don't know. I'm not Catholic. I don't have any connection to monks, but it did get my attention. This monk walked through. He had his hood up, his brown hood. He had a rope belt. He had on the leather sandals. He walked up to me and he said, "Come with me. We have something to tell you." And I'm looking around at my frozen dream and the doorway, and he's turned around and he's walking through, and I followed him through the doorway, the sacred dream doorway, to divine intervention. And in this room between realms is what I call it. It was all white. You couldn't tell the difference between the floor, the ceiling, and the walls. It was just all white. There were other monks standing there. And the monk that led me into this room took my hand, placed it on my breast, and said, "Do you feel that?" And I said, "Yes." They said, "That's breast cancer. You go back to your doctor without an appointment, and you get a second set of tests." And I said, "Okay." And they led me back through the door, the sacred dream door. The door closed behind me, and my dream started right back up where it had stopped, because time had stood still. I was on what Einstein called the time continuum. It is one big now. There's no past. There's no future. There's only one big now. So I did. I went back to my doctor. Long story short, I went back to my doctor 3 times because I had the dream with the monks all 3 times. The third time when the monks showed up, I started crying in my dream. And I said, "Look, I know why you're here. But my doctor keeps giving me the same mammograms, the same blood tests, the same physicals, and he can't feel anything. And he's telling me there's nothing there." And so one of the monks reached into his sleeve and he pulled out this little tiny white feather and he handed it to me. And he said, "If you use this feather, this angel feather, like a sword, to cut through your doctor's arguments tomorrow. Imagine this feather. You'll get the test you need, which is exploratory surgery now. Don't take no for an answer. Don't make an appointment. Just show up. So I did. And as it turned out, Debbie, I was in stage 2 breast cancer with it in a lymph node. He did the exploratory surgery when I pointed my imaginary feather at him and said, "You're my doctor. I need you to help me. I know something is wrong." Just like he got glamored, he walked out, made an appointment for the surgery, came in, and I'm alive today because of that. And that happened 3 times, even with recurrence. It was a 9 by 11 centimeter area, and I had the chiefs of everybody watching me. And the monks came back in and said, "It's back." And with all of that, Deb, I mean, people are going, "Oh my gosh, how could you survive that? Why 3 times? Does it mean you didn't make the changes you needed to change in your life? Did you not eat the right things? Did you not get the message?" The message I got from this, because with the recurrence, the second time, I was madder than a wet hen. And I fell asleep on the bed crying. So I was sure I was going to die. Nobody recovers from recurrence that big. And the monks showed up beside my bed. And I looked up at them and I said, "I know why you're here. I got it. I'm dying. I'm okay. I'm okay with it. But you may want to warn God before I get up there, because there's nothing I've done in this life or past lives to deserve this. And I have some really big bones to pick with him." And the monks started laughing, and they never laugh. And they said, "Don't you remember?" I said, "Remember what?" They said, "You told us before you were born that you wanted to come down onto the earth plane during a time when God, spirituality, dreams were taken out of lives, and science was worshipped as God. And you were going to show that science only goes so far because it's a gift, and then comes God. And we told you we'd be with you every step of the way, and we have been. You're not going to die." And I didn't, Deb, but what I did realize, and this was so really big, it was like, bunk up against the head. Many of the challenges that we go through in life, many of the illnesses, what we do with that illness, how we overcome that illness, what we do with that information, was things we decided to do before we were born. And we have to reconnect with that life purpose and realize that as bad as it seems, we're going to come through that storm because we needed to be in the storm to learn something and teach others something about that storm. And that's what's happening with COVID as well.
So would you say that those dreams were a gift?
They were. They were absolutely a gift because they made me make the shift from being a victim to being a leader, from saying, "Oh, poor me, why me?" to, "Okay, I got it. I chose to do this." And I remember looking at the monks, looking down at me and saying, "What the heck was I smoking up there when I said I wanted to come down and do this?" That they just laughed and walked out of my dream, because I was thinking, that's crazy. Why would anybody go through this? And then I realized we're here for such a short time. Some of us want to make a profound statement. And mine is, we're here for a reason. We have a purpose. Even if our parents told us we just happened in the back seat of that old Ford, we happened accidentally on purpose. We need to find our life purpose. And sometimes the only way we can find it and really connect with it and get back on that path is when we're in such a deep crisis. We have to cry out for help. And I had to cry out to God through prayer, meditations, and dreams. He sent me my monks, and here I am telling you about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, the answer is in our dreams if we pay attention to them, as you certainly did and certainly know for sure. Well, we are just about out of time. So my final question is, how can people find out more about you and your work?
You can go to my website, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, and that's Kathleen OkeefeKanavos.com. AV, as in Victor, OS.com, or you can just type in The Queen of Dreams. That's The Queen of Dreams, and I will come right up.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for being on Dream Power Radio today. We've been speaking with dream expert and author Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International.